Hey everybody, welcome back to another ABC challenge, and I am so excited to be back. Thank you all so much for your patience again during the move. I know I already covered it a little bit with a little bit of the sneak preview into the studio, but I just want to say again, thank you guys for your patience, and I am finally back to making art videos, and it feels amazing. I missed you guys, I missed making these videos, and I'm really excited to jump back into it. So today we are continuing the ABC challenge, and Q was a little bit challenging because honestly, until now, I didn't really know that Qrow was spelled with a Q. I mean, my friend has pointed it out before in the past, but I didn't really think about it, and I was like, oh wait, I need an ABC challenge and I'm stuck on Q. Let's do Qrow. And it worked out so nicely because I really like Qrow, and he's a really fun and interesting character, along with I really like the voice of Vic Mignogna, and I like his voice in other characters that I like in some of the dub anime, but I really like his Qrow. Like, I just love this character overall. He's just such a fun and interesting like uncle to Ruby and Yang, and being like that interesting drunk uncle, and we learned a lot about him in season 4. I don't really want to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't seen it, so just a warning, there might be a couple spoilers in here about Qrow and about RWBY, so just FYI, so then you know ahead of time, so then you're not like, oh my god, Katelyn, you spoiled it, and I'll be like, no, I gave you a warning, I promise. But anyway, one of the things that I find really interesting about his character that I really liked from the new season was his semblance, which was a really interesting concept compared to the other semblances of the universe. So for those of you who don't watch RWBY, semblance is kind of like, I guess you could call it a superpower that everyone in the RWBY universe tends to have. They have some type of thing that makes them unique and special. So for example, Pyrrha had the power of like magnetism and polarity, so she could use that to her advantage with her metal shield and spear and bring it back to her or control other metal objects around her. And then Nora's semblance was she could gather electricity and help it power herself up to make her attacks more powerful. And then Ruby's, I think, is her speed and her ability to basically run super fast. And then finally, like, let's just do Yang's semblance is the more she gets hit, the stronger she becomes. Kind of like a Super Saiyan, and I think that fits pretty well for Yang. But anyway, so as you can see, a lot of the semblances that are in the universe are mostly, I guess you could call it superpowers or kind of boosts or buffs or like something that will physically affect you in a certain way. But I mean, Qrow's is a little bit different. I mean, it could technically physically affect him, but I really liked what they picked for his. So what his semblance is he's, as you could say, like a bad luck charm. He just brings misery and misfortune everywhere he goes, which makes sense for his character since he travels around a lot, doesn't really stay in one place, doesn't really stay with RWBY and Yang, and doesn't really stay around his family at all. And it was really interesting that they introduced that type of semblance because for the most part, all the other semblances within the universe have been like those superpower buffs or some type of thing that will physically, I guess, affect the character, but then to introduce Qrow's, which is more of like, he imposes something negative on others around him, and his environment was a really interesting twist on the idea of a semblance. So I really like that about his character, and I thought that was really smart of the writers within RWBY to create that for this character and then kind of differentiate it from the other semblances within the universe. And that also kind of sets up for future characters within the series to have other interesting semblances that might not be as, I guess you could call them, physical semblances. But now I'm just going off on this giant rampage of semblances or whatever, but let me talk more about Qrow. So I really have always liked his character since he was introduced in the show. Specifically, I really enjoy the fight between him and Winter. I just absolutely love the choreography and the music of that fight, and just everything about that fight was amazing. I think that's one of the strongest fights within the series, if you personally ask me. There's a lot of other ones that are just as good, but I just really enjoyed that fight. The timing was really great, the different moves that they used, and specifically, I really liked the music. I catch myself listening to that specific part of the soundtrack over and over, and I just really like the music from that. And then on top of it, Qrow's weapon is freaking awesome. I had a feeling when he was first introduced, I'm like, yeah, that's not just a sword. That looks strangely suspicious. along with earlier in the series, RWBY was talking about how she built her scythe or her crescent rose with her uncle. And I was like, okay, well, Qrow doesn't have a scythe. What's up with that? And then lo and behold, this sword can turn into a scythe. It's really, really cool. If you guys haven't seen it, I would just look up his weapon transformation, and I applaud the animators within the Rooster Teeth team for being able to animate so many of these amazing weapons. I always really like the unfolding mechanism behind a lot of these weapons because, you know, when you're building the 3D model, you probably have to think about what it looks like overall, but then on top of it, you have to make sure that it can fold in or out accordingly. And then adding all the little components and pieces to it to make it look really interesting. And it's kind of hard for me to wrap my mind around it just because I'm not an animator. I would love to see like what these rigs or the models look like for the weapons and the characters. That'd be really, really cool. I think specifically the weapons would be really cool to see the folded version and then the unfolded version, and then you can like mess around with it and see what different parts fold into what and kind of go up and down the timeline. I think I saw one online for Crescent Rose for RWBY Scythe specifically, where you have like the closed version and then like kind of a timeline that you can scroll left and right and see it fold and unfold, but I think it was only from one angle. So I'd be really interested to see it in a couple of different angles, and probably that with a lot of the other different weapons, just because, I don't know, I really like it. Seeing this weapon and a lot of the weapons in RWBY makes me want to get better at drawing weapons. I feel it's kind of one of my weaknesses. It's not terrible, but I think I need to brush up on like weapons and anything more mechanical. I feel like my strong suit is still kind of in organics and specifically like animals and a couple of different plants, depending on the plants, because I'm still a little rusty on background painting, but I think for sure I'm just gonna have a day, no, not even a day, a couple weeks where I just bust open my sketchbook and draw a bunch of different weapons. But yeah, sorry, I keep getting off track with a bunch of different random things, but either way, I really, really liked how this piece turned out. And I know I say that a lot, and I know some of you are gonna poke fun at me because Jazza says that a lot, and he had a shirt made for it. I'm probably gonna buy that shirt, but either way, this one was a lot of fun to do, and I just love Qrow's facial expressions and kind of his sassiness throughout the series, so that lended really well to making a kind of fun and quirky piece. It's always nice to have a character that has, I guess, a lot of personality, because you can really have that show through within a pose or any fan art or anything you do of them, and all the facial expressions they make. It just adds to the possibilities, I guess, of the piece. So like I said, I really love this one. I love how it turned out. I kind of wish I did a little bit more shading in a couple places now that I'm looking at it again, but overall, I really like it. So thanks again, guys, for stopping by and checking out this video. And if you aren't already, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I have new videos every week. And if you like this video, you can go ahead and hit the like button. I would really appreciate it also if you left a comment and tell me what your suggestions would be for Q. And then don't worry, I did not forget about the RWBY print giveaway. So here at the end, I'm gonna announce the winners. So the first winner is Beer Goggle Gamer. I really like your semblance idea of you could summon shadows from monsters that you drew. I think it'd be really cool if my character carried around some type of smaller pocket sketchbook, and I would use like an ink brush to draw these silhouettes of monsters. I think that'd be really freaking sick. And then for the weapon winner, I really like the idea from Power of Anime 1, which was some sort of unfolding weapon that starts as a pen and becomes like a sword Uzi combo. And then they said the barrel of the gun would be the guard of the sword, and the handle would still take those super long magazines. I really like the idea, especially if it's the spatha, I think it's how you pronounce it. Because if you look at the design of the sword, there's kind of like an inlay that goes down the middle. I think it'd be really dang cool if that would change colors of different, I guess you could call it inks, and then I could affect the shadow creatures I made by making them different colors of dust. So like if I summoned a shadow monster, then I could put red dust with it and it would become like a fire shadow monster. That'd be so sick. And then just to kind of further go into that, I don't know if I would want it to be a pen that unfolded into a sword. I like the idea of it always being a sword. So to kind of combo that, I like the idea of it feeding like different types of ink, like maybe from the handle, like it has different types of dust and ink that come out of the handle. That would be pretty dang sick. So both of you can go ahead and shoot me a message either on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. Any of those are fine, but shoot me a message and then we'll exchange shipping details and I will get the prints to you guys. And to everyone who entered, I really loved all your guys' comments and you actually made it really difficult for me to pick a winner. But again, I really appreciate your guys' feedback and your ideas and suggestions, and thank you all so much for entering the print giveaway. So again, thanks you guys for checking out this video, and I will see you next week. Bye everybody.